There's so many different terms used when talking about money and investments. Sometimes we don't always understand the difference between things like bull or bear market, and that's why we have wealth advisor Barry Watts joining us for this week's Money Matters discussion. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Appreciate it. You know, we were just kind of touching bases just before we came on here, and it's really important if you're going to try and understand finance, you really have to go to the basics here, the fundamentals.
Basic terminology.
Yeah.
And so there are 3 or 4 things I want to share with you today about that. First of all, you'll hear people talk about the markets, and they'll say we're in a bull market or a bear market. Do you know what that means?
You know, I just want to say a bull market is everything is charging forward, and a bear market is going, hold on.
Well, that's pretty close. But if you think about the bear market saying, hold on, what would that be? Why would he be saying that? So I want to change your paradigm just a little bit.
Yeah, because I know people make money in both. I have no idea how.
Well, I know there are people who grew up on the farm and who have seen bulls fight.
Right.
And so let's talk about how a bull fights. Okay. He will lower his head and charge at you. And when he charges at you with his head below you, he'll take his horns and get them under you and lift you up in the air. Therefore, bull markets are markets that are rising up into the air.
Okay.
Now let's talk about how a bear fights. If you ever came across one in the woods, which can happen in the Ozarks now.
Yes, it can. They're around.
If you come across a bear in the woods and he decides he's going to fight you, what'll he do? He'll stand up tall on his hind legs with his claws up in the air, and he will press down upon you. Okay. Therefore, bear markets press downward. So a market that's rising is a bull market, and a market that is falling is a bear market.
All right, and you can make money in either of these. I mean, obviously, the rising market, buy low, sell high. What about the bear market,
Well,
though?
there are some techniques and strategies that will work in that scenario, but I'm not going to talk about them here.
But
and frankly, I don't
difference.
advise them. Yes, knowing the difference and recognizing what people talk about is what's most important.
Okay, what about the markets themselves? I mean, you hear different names thrown around.
On the news tonight, they will tell you that the Dow Jones Industrial Average is at a certain level, and it rose or fell today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was started by a man named Mr. Dow, who's talking to all of his buddies and said, how did you do with your investments today? And one buddy did well, the second buddy did poorly, the third buddy did well. He needed a method of figuring out how we all did together, and so he aggregated 30 different companies and said, every day we're going to monitor the levels of those companies, and we'll report out the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So that's where that came from.
All right. What about S&P? The S&P 500, is that what it is?
It is. And if you'll think about it, the Dow Jones Industrial Average only covers 30 stocks. America's a big country. The world is a big place. 30 stocks is hardly a reasonable enough number to represent what's going on in the marketplace. So we have what's called the broader market. And the broader market is the S&P 500. It's simply the same mechanism applied to the 500 largest stocks in the United States.
Okay.
So I personally don't pay much attention to the Dow. We monitor ourselves against the S&P 500, the broader market, because we believe that is more reflective of what's going on in the larger economy.
And then I hear industrials, things like that. Is that all part of the terminology you need to know?
The industrials would be a sector within any of those markets. And you begin to get into a place that most people don't want to mess around very much, but they do want to know, what does it mean when somebody on the news says we're in a bull or a bear? And what does it mean when they're talking about the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P 500? And hopefully now you know. Know
what it's a little bit about. You know how it affects you.
There you go.
All right. If you have a question or topic for Barry, just email moneymatters@color10.com, and we will discuss it on the air. Barry, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.